Before you go on any ride, it's important to look over your machine and your gear. Let's take a look at some of these now. When you're checking over the ATV, one of the most important things that you can do is to make sure that the lug nuts are securely fastened. Go through and make sure that each one is hand tight. Next is make sure that the controls and cables are ready for operation and are free moving. So we move to the other side. Again, repeat the procedure you just performed. Everything is free moving. And we got the basics set. When you're looking over the rear of the vehicle, it's important to check the rear differential fluid, your drivetrain, suspension, and frame. The part of the ATV that most likely will encounter damage is under where you can't see it. Make sure to visually inspect every component before going out on a ride. One of the most important features is your taillight. Make sure that it's operational and can be readily seen, so nothing's hanging in the way. Don't forget to check your lights before a ride, and while you're riding, make sure that the lights are on for increased visibility. Before going on any ride with the ATV, you always want to check the tire pressure. The tire pressure gauge is a low pressure gauge and can be found on the ATV. Let's take a look. This low pressure gauge happens to be underneath the seat. A lot of times underneath the seat you will find the battery as well. Make sure that there's no corrosion on the battery and that the components are nice and clean. The toolkit will have all your basics for maintaining any part of that machine. In the toolkit you'll find this low pressure tire gauge. So let's take a look at the tire and see what the pressure is. Let's take the valve stem cover off. Place the gauge on the nozzle. And this one's reading at just over 5 pounds. Most ATVs will have a listing on the fender for what pressure they recommend. 5.1 psi, we're right on target. Now that the rear are done, we're going to do the front. It's always important to do all 4 tires. Now let's check the oil and gas. On this particular model, you have to pop out an engine cover.
Go ahead, pop them in the shot. Pop.
Now be careful when you take the cover off not to lose any of the snaps. Underneath you'll find your dipstick on this model. Remove the dipstick and check to see that there's adequate oil. For your specific procedure, check your owner's manual on how to read the oil gauge. See, losing them just like that. Now for the fuel, let's check the gauge. The gauge here shows that we're almost out of gas, so we should refuel before we go out on the trail. We know this particular model needs fuel. The gas tank is no longer up where it traditionally was. This model has the gas tank under the seat. So we'll open up the cap. Let it depressurize, and then add the fuel. Packs like these are an excellent accessory to have when riding. Some of the things that you carry in a pack like this would be a first aid kit, different types of gear for different riding. This happens to be rain gear. And the newer packs will actually have places for beverages. water, soda, sports drinks, what have you. The only thing you don't want to have is alcohol. Regardless of where you're going to go to ride, be sure that you have permission before you go on that ride. Check your destination and make sure that the riding area is open. Be sure to update your US Trail Map software and check with the local club before going.